I'm Stefan Holt, and this is News 4 Now for Wednesday, November the 7th. Welcome. We'll start with a look at the weather. It's going to stay clear tonight. Tomorrow, we're going to have some more sunshine, highs in the 50s. Now let's take a look at the news. And after months of speculation, Jeff Sessions is officially out as Attorney General. President Trump made the announcement this afternoon on Twitter and said that Sessions' Chief of Staff, Matthew Whitaker, would take over in an acting role. Sessions wrote in his resignation letter that President Trump asked him to resign. The former Alabama senator had been blasted by President Trump since recusing himself from the Russia investigation because he worked on the Trump campaign. The new acting AG will now oversee special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. News of the resignation came shortly after President Trump faced reporters following the midterm elections, where he unloaded on some of the journalists.
You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN.
That's the president going after CNN's Jim Acosta after he asked about the Russia investigation. NBC News correspondent Peter Alexander tried to defend Acosta, but it didn't go so well.
Defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts his butt.
Well, I'm not
like
a big
the rest
fan
of
of yours either. So.
President Trump called yesterday's midterm a victory for Republicans. That's despite the Democrats taking control of the House of Representatives. The president said he would work with them on issues like infrastructure, but warned that he and the Republican-controlled Senate would take a warlike posture if the Democrats investigated him. After a very tight race, Democrat Ned Lamont is now Connecticut's governor-elect. Republican Bob Stefanowski conceded this morning, saying Lamont won fair and square. Fewer than 10,000 votes separated the two at the time, and there are still more ballots being counted. Lamont said Stefanowski was gracious and plans to work with him, but he has other plans first.
I may take a short walk. I may have a glass of wine, maybe get to bed early, but not tomorrow. Tomorrow's a fresh start.
Have you seen this video of teens tossing a pipe right through a window at a synagogue? The NYPD now says the kids harassed a Jewish boy on the same day. Police are also sounding the alarm that hate crimes are up all across the city. That includes a 22% rise in anti-Semitic hate crimes. Finally, he's the world's most notorious drug lord, but all he wants before his trial begins next week is a hug from his wife. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman made that request today as jury selection was completed. The drug kingpin has been in solitary confinement for nearly 2 years. He's pleaded not guilty to charges accusing him of overseeing a cartel known for violence and breaking him out of jails in Mexico. Opening statements are set for Tuesday. The trial could last 4 months. And that's all for News 4 Now. Stick around after this video ends for more takeaways on the midterm election results. I'm Stefan Holt. Thanks so much for checking in.
The digesting, the analyzing, the spinning is still going on. What happened? What happens next? And that process will continue. But we just wanted to take a look at some of the takeaways that we spotted. Obviously, the big one is Democratic control of the House. And already we started hearing from some people who will chair committees as Democrats what subpoenas might start flying, what investigations might ensue. But the Senate keeps control of Republicans keep control of the Senate, and of course that can still shape the federal judiciary. And with news today of Jeff Sessions, if the president decides to nominate someone to replace him, it's with the advice and consent of the Senate, and the Republicans have a solid hold now on power there. The president today name-checked some of the Republicans who kind of distanced themselves from him during the campaign, and they lost. It's not quite as simple as that, though. Of course, Democrats definitely gained from the president's unpopularity, but when it comes to the Senate races and some of the governor's races, there may be something there. For example, you look at Indiana, where the president's popularity actually is above 55%, and the Democratic Senator Joe Donnelly went down. Same thing in Missouri, the president's popularity over 50% there, and Claire McCaskill went down. You reverse that, you go to Michigan, which the president won in 2016. His popularity's dipped below 50, and they lose the governorship. The Republicans do. Democrats take it. And Wisconsin, a marquee race where Scott Walker, the Republican, goes down again. His popularity dipping. The president did win that before. We've been talking about the history made in this race in terms of women engagement, women participation, and that's for sure. 115 elected. That number's going to go up with some of these other races that come in. 276 on the ballot. There will for sure be a record number of women serving in the House in this coming term. Also 11 Senate wins and 9 governor's races. And then finally, just wanted to look at some of the issues, Stephen and Natalie, that people were talking about in exit polls. Gun policy, of course, we've heard about the shootings, the mass shootings. How much did that weigh? Only 11%. The economy, which usually is number one, only 21%. Of course, the economy is kind of humming along by most standards. Immigration, the president made that a big issue, 23%. It did shape some races for sure, certainly in Texas. But there it is, healthcare, number one, coming in at 41%. That's what people said. We want to make sure you see. That's it. I want to make sure you see that because that's a big number. And you bring that up. That was the #1 issue, and for sure that shaped a lot of the races today. So that just gives you a snapshot of what happened. There'll be more to come.